Hey, welcome to Hindsight the Podcast. I'm your host, Lee Jones, and I'm thrilled to embark on this journey of exploration with you. We often find ourselves reflecting on the choices we've made and wondering how our lives might have unfolded differently if we had taken a different path. Here's the beauty of hindsight. It gives us a chance to gain wisdom and learn from our past decisions. Look, this podcast is a platform to dig deep into those pivotal moments and uncover the invaluable lessons hidden within. Look, I'm Lee Jones, your host, and I couldn't be more excited to have you on board. So let's dive right in and explore the fascinating realm of decisions on Hindsight the Podcast.
When you look back in hindsight, everything is 20/20. In hindsight, you make mistakes, we're learning from it. In hindsight, shaping your today and your tomorrow. In hindsight, it's so much clearer now. This is Hindsight the Podcast, and introducing your host, Lee Jones.
Hello, welcome to Hindsight the Podcast. This is Lee Jones, and today I'm here with Natalie Gonzalez. She's a Christian life and business coach, author, and pastor. With her unwavering faith and passion for empowering others, Natalie has dedicated her life to helping individuals discover their purpose, unleash their potential, and achieve personal and professional success. Natalie is also an accomplished author, captivating audiences with her powerful words and wisdom. Her books provide insights and tools to navigate life's challenges and embrace one's true identity. Today, Natalie joins me on Hindsight the Podcast to share her incredible journey, insights, and strategies for living a purpose-driven life. Welcome, Natalie Gonzalez. How are you doing today?
Thank you. Thank you so much. It is such a joy and an honor to be with you. Thank you for allowing me to share a little bit of my story with you and your listeners. So I'm just excited to be here.
Thank you. We're excited to have you here as well, especially because unlocking your God-given purpose, that's one of the things that you speak about. And we're going to get to that in a moment, right? But before we do that, this is Hindsight the Podcast, and we'd like to know a little bit about you, your journey, and how, you don't have to make this long soliloquy about it, right? But how you got to be where you are today. So tell us a little bit about you, Natalie.
Well, first, I really love the title of your podcast, of your podcast called Hindsight, because they say hindsight is 20/20, right? When you look back on your life and you reflect on your journey, and when you begin to see where God was actually there in the moments when you felt like He wasn't. And so, my journey to where I am, I feel like God has bestowed grace upon grace on my life, because for a long time, I pushed God away, and really, even to the point of trying to other spiritual realms to increase my spirituality and stuff like that. So, but still within me, that longing, that nudging that there is something more. And it took me a while to really figure that out, what that more was. And so, and especially since overcoming adversities, growing up and in my younger age, and we all have, difficult situations, but it's how we deal with those and respond, and our willingness to continue to push through. And so, one of the things that I struggled with when I was younger was dealing with abusive partners and dealing with homelessness and a whole bunch of stuff that I can write a whole another slew of books about. But
You're right. Absolutely. Wow.
But it wasn't until God took me out of my comfort zone is where I really began to blossom. Sometimes we have to be put in as they call it, the desert, until you can really begin to see clearly. It's kind of odd, but that's just the way God works.
Right. I hear you.
And so I was born in Brooklyn, New York. I've
okay.
lived in major lived in major cities all my life. I lived in Atlanta, lived in downtown Raleigh, North Carolina. And so when my husband and I moved to the country of North Carolina, where there's nothing. Okay, I've never lived in the country a day in my life, and I hated it with a
Right,
passion.
right,
I was just like, "There's nothing here." Oh my gosh!
right.
And but um, in that space of where nothing was familiar is where I found God to like really pour into me.
Oh,
And so for a long time, I felt like I really didn't have a purpose, that I was just too damaged for God to use my story, my testimony, that nobody would want to listen to what I have to say, that I wasn't important enough. And so when I moved with my husband to where we currently live, to I had been like a stay-at-home mom for about like 15 years, never really worked, and God calling me to become a
right,
pastor. I'm just like, get out of here. What are you talking about?
right, right, right,
You
right.
know, 'cause I have no formal schooling or anything like that. I'm just like, no one's gonna want to have me to lead them in a church, and I ran from that for several years. But it's in working in ministry and finally answering my call and working with other parishioners in the church and outside of the church, where realizing that I wasn't the only one that felt that desire for purpose. And one of my favorite quotes from Dr. Miles Monroe is where he says, "The greatest tragedy in life is not death, but a life without purpose." And so if you read Psalm 123, there's a portion there where God says that I have created you with intention and purpose, that you were not just placed here randomly for no apparent reason.
Hmm.
And and begin to understand that when we are walking in our purpose, this is how the kingdom of God really expands on the earth as it is intended to be. Yeah.
Wow.
Yes.
So, Natalie, you openly shared about the challenges you face in your early life, including experiences with abuse, homelessness, and going through well, I don't know if you mentioned going through a failed marriage. Did you went through a
Yes, I
failed
did.
marriage?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes. Yes.
how did you find the strength and the resilience to overcome these adversities and to turn your life around? I know you said you found God, but how did you find God? If
Well, I like to say that God found me, but
Yeah, he always knows
but
where
I just
you're
get
at.
the
How did you find him?
question. So, you know, it wasn't, when I was going through the failed, that marriage of mine, that I was married to an alcoholic, and during that time, I didn't have a strong faith in
Okay,
God,
right.
but there was something within me that knew that God had power to change things.
Hmm.
And I will never forget this one night. I barely prayed during this time.
Yeah.
And it was a heart wrenching prayer to God, just crying out to Him, save me from this marriage. I don't know what to do.
Hmm.
I, I have nowhere to go. I can't continue to live like this. And when I tell you that it probably took about like 2 weeks afterwards that I was no longer with my husband.
It's
And
pretty
in that
quick.
moment, that is quick.
2 weeks.
Like,
That's pretty.
Lord, what yeah, that was quick. But I tell you, one of the things that I realized is, first, when we were, you know, actually really separated, I felt as though someone had lifted like a ton of bricks off my shoulders.
Yeah.
And two, that when we really pour out our heart to God, He really listens and He responds.
Right.
And so, um, I feel like my relationship with God, until I really decided to really truly depend on Him, it's been like a back and forth with Him, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Absolutely.
And
Absolutely, it makes
so,
sense.
yeah. And so, it wasn't until I fully decided to surrender completely, to trust. And in my book, that I wrote, one of the I sprinkle in some of my stories throughout the book. And one of the things that I had mentioned when I was got married a second time, um, I was on food stamps during that time, and I had food stamps when I was with my
Right.
first husband. But my second husband, he works in construction, and he makes very good money. So I really honestly didn't need the food stamps. I just, I had it because, hey, it's extra money, right? And so I was getting ready to apply for food stamps again. And before I could start
Hmm.
applying, I hear this voice saying, "Do you not trust me? Do you not
Mm.
trust me that I can provide for you and your family to feed you? That you have to continue to apply for this knowing you don't need it?" And I felt so convicted,
Mm.
so convicted, and
Wow.
I didn't reapply. And that's when I really, really, really begin to let go and let God have His
Yeah.
way and not lean on my own understanding in the ways of the world.
So was it still a struggle after you let go? Just so it's in real life practical sense, right?
Yeah,
You decided not to reapply for the food stamps. So
yeah.
how it took 2 weeks for the husband to be gone. Uh, so I, I just want to know how quickly it was for that to be realized, right? Where you were being taken care of financially,
Well, when you begin to surrender to God, um, things just fall into place. And
right?
so I'm like, okay, I'm going to trust you. I'm going to lean onto the promises that you have in your word, that you are going to care for me. And so after I started going shopping, grocery shopping with my own real money, I was just like, um, I was amazed how I didn't feel any lack at all.
Yeah,
I had more than I needed, And so, and when we are able to let go and let God and continue in that faith, our faith grows. In scripture says, we grow by faith, by actually intentionally, willingly letting go and letting God guide us. And so, because faith without actions is dead. You can say you have faith or believe, but if you're not really truly letting God do what He says He's going to do, then you're stuck in fear and doubt. And that's what I was trying to steer away from, because that's
yeah.
what
That's
continues to hold us back.
yeah. That's the most difficult part of it,
Yeah,
because you know what you know, right?
yeah,
And you know how things work. If I don't have the food, the money, then I'm not going to be able to get the food. I'm not going to be able to provide. These things, right?
yeah,
So
yeah,
to let go and to allow yourself to be taken care of by God, right, is challenging. It's always challenging, right?
yeah.
So that's an excellent story.
Thank you.
Not an excellent story. I say story, but it's your life, right? Is it a
Yeah, yeah,
so
yeah, yeah.
your journey from a place of struggle to a position of empowerment is truly inspiring. How did your personal experiences shape your passion for helping others? You mentioned earlier that you knew that there were other people who were in the same similar circumstances, and helping others and becoming a beacon of hope for those facing, I just said it, similar challenges.
Well, being in the pastoral role, you
Yeah.
get to learn the community and your church in an intimate way that other people can't. Um, and so, seeing and understanding this innate desire for um, being created for something more. And so during my pastoral uh, journey, there was still like this nagging in me. There's something more.
Mm-hmm.
And you would think that being in a pastoral role, serving the community, serving your church, that you would be maybe spiritually filled, like you would like, okay, I've accomplished what God wanted me to do. But no, there was like, I felt like I was stuck. Like I kept hitting this wall. Like, what is it? What do you need me to do, Lord? I don't understand. And so it wasn't until I decided to work with my own personal life coach,
Mm-hmm.
and helping me see things in a different way, that really pivoted my mindset, and having a clearer, deeper understanding of what God is calling me to do and who I am. And so many times we get stuck in what others say and think and believe about us, that we believe it ourselves, you know. And so
Yeah.
it wasn't actually, it wasn't even until I started working with my life coach that she was just like, "You're a writer." I'm just like, "What are you talking about?" She's like, "You are a writer. You can," because the way she made me laugh, because after I had a conversation, or my initial consultation with her, I had emailed her, and I guess I'm very descriptive in my writings. In my email, it was more like a story. I was telling her that I was really reflecting what she said, and I was sitting outside next to with my dog, just really thinking, just like this whole story. And she was like, "Wow."
Right,
She's like,
right,
"No, I was reading your
right.
email, like envision everything that you were doing outside."
Oh,
And
that's
so,
awesome.
and so through life coaching, she really helped me bring out the natural gifts that I didn't realize that were there. More gifts
Right.
that I wasn't
Wow.
fully using and adapting into my life to what God is calling me to do. And so that's when I realized, this is what I need to do. This is how I can help and equip others, helping them understand what their calling is, what their vision is, what gifts they have, to be able to expand the kingdom of God and continue to touch and transform lives of others. And so that's how that began
Okay.
for me.
All right, great segue. So as a Christian life and business coach, what strategies and principles do you incorporate into your coaching practice to help individuals discover their purpose and achieve personal and professional success? And I know part of it we're going to talk about in a little bit, the 5 strategies. That's one, but what other approaches do you use?
So when I begin working with my clients, I begin to hear their stories and where they feel that God has been calling them, and to help them get really clear on that vision, because um, often we have these dreams, these visions, these ideas, but have difficulties making them a reality. So I help them create, like, I guess you would say, like a roadmap, um, to get from point A to point B, to begin to bring that into fruition. And so that's one of the ways, and really getting to know who they are, and listening to, one of the best ways that we can tell what our gifts are, and a lot of times we don't realize it, is, what is that one thing, or it could be a couple of things, that one thing that people continually seek you out for? Is it advice? Is it to build something? Is it to be? Is it the creative aspect? Whatever it is that people seem to continually seek you out for, that is a natural gift that God has given you to use for the greater good for His kingdom. And often we don't notice that, because we use it so often in the day to day, that it's like second nature. That, oh, that's just the way I am. Yes, it's the way you are, and that's the way that God created you to be. But
Right,
what
right.
you have there can bloom into something more than you realize.
Okay, so why not delay it? Let's jump right into it, right? I mentioned this
Okay.
earlier. So let's walk us through the 5 keys to unlock your God given purpose. And then number one was unlocking your potential. So how do you
Yeah.
approach? Go ahead.
Yeah. No. No. That's fine. Yeah. So the 5 keys, like the first one, like I said, is to realize what are your current skill sets that you have. And so we don't realize what skills that we're currently using, then we can't really maximize those. And so that's one of the things, is to understand what those are, to be able to learn how to continue to grow in that, and even in, what's the word I'm looking for, to expand that, to maybe even create even more natural abilities that you didn't realize that that he or she may have had.
I'm just gonna. I guess I'll prompt it out, and then we'll say all 5 of them at the end.
Okay.
So number two, and you kind of touched on it on this one, which was discover your untapped abilities.
Our untapped abilities are the ones that we use on a daily basis. And um, for instance, as when I'm speaking with my life coach, I didn't realize that I was a good writer. That's something that wasn't even on my radar. And so, working with a life coach, when they get to know you and understand what those are, uh, then I'm able to like really hone in and pull those out, um, giving you areas where you can use them, so that those untapped gifts can grow and flourish, and learn how to um, opportunities to use them more than before, so that they can strengthen and grow. If that makes sense.
No, it absolutely does. Because you do. I mean, I think you kind of mentioned like speaking to others, right? And then you can assess it yourself by just what is it that people always come to me about, right?
Yeah.
And it's those
Hmm.
things that you do, but you don't realize that they're impactful, right?
Yeah.
It's just you don't even realize it. So unlocking potential, discover untapped abilities. That's awesome. All
Yeah.
right, so three is amazing. You're an expert.
Yeah.
Like that's an amazing one because that's a difficult one for, I believe, a hurdle for people mentally to
Yeah.
overcome. Right? You're an
Yeah.
expert, at least in your experiences in your life, and there
Yeah.
are a lot of things that you can speak very, very profoundly about. So tell me
Yeah.
about you're an expert.
Yeah. Yeah. I had a hard time accepting that one at first. I'm like, I'm an expert. I'm like, get out of here. What are you talking about?
Exactly. I think most people do.
But um, once you begin to exercise that authority, and you begin to understand what those hidden talents and gifts are, and you begin to use them on a daily basis, um, it's like you begin to get this revelation that God pours into you, that you have more knowledge than you realize. You know a lot more. You're more effective than you give yourself credit for. You
Right.
have answers, as how I like to say, that you have heavenly solutions to bring down on earth, that can help and um, others, and bring transformation to the lives of others. And so and that's one of the things that I love to see with my clients, that once they begin operating in their gifts and really understanding what it is, it's like this light bulb goes off, and it's just like,
Mm,
oh. And so, and they begin to believe it and feel it and live it every day, and say, I am the expert. I know what I'm talking about, and I know how to help you too.
awesome. Dream big. That's number
Yeah.
4.
Yeah. Yes. Dream big. You
You
know,
know, but before
go
you
ahead.
get going, I see a lot of, um, you know, if you look at social media, right, and they always have little sound bites or little clips from successful people, LeBron James or whatever, right? And
Yeah.
one of the common things that a lot of them say is that they dream, but they can vividly see that dream, right?
Oh, yeah.
And
Yeah.
being able to see it makes it more, um, I guess, approachable, or you know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? Like, it makes it
Yeah.
more
Yeah. Yeah.
real,
Yeah. 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 More tangible.
more tangible. There you go. We're looking for the words this morning.
Yeah. Yeah. So, we don't dream big enough, actually. And so I've heard people say, whatever your biggest dream and desire is that you have for yourself, it's not big enough. It's not. What God has intended for you is so much bigger than we can realize. And
Hmm.
so, if we remember the story of Joseph, that he had those dreams and that he was hated for that, okay? You know, they were
Yeah.
trying to oppress his dream, but he continued to hold on to that dream no matter what. He kept on speaking about that dream and holding on to that dream. He became second in command in Egypt. And so when we have that dream, that that vision that God has planted in us, because first of all, we have any of our thoughts that we have concerning God are, they're not original. He placed them in us, okay? And so when you're able to dream big and actually envision that, like really envision yourself doing it, like you've already accomplished it. It's already yours because it is. And once you see that dream, you have that, it begins to place a fire in you to continue to chase after it until it is accomplished. And
Right.
so dreaming big really helps us to stay focused, and creating vision boards and all that kind of stuff, and placing those reminders around us every day really helps us, helps them to really continue to push forward, even in times when it don't look like it. You have to continue. You have to continue to press on, no matter what, because you have to hold on to the word of God. For God says, let every that let God be true and every man be a liar. And so
And then number 5, let's bring it home. Power in your purpose.
yes. There is power in your purpose, and each and every one of us have been placed to create impact, influence, and inspire others in this world. Um, and it's not so much about us or you as in the individual. It's about the the dramatic change and influence and transformation that your life, your story will bring into the world to touch the lives of others. Our story has power. Our life can create solution that this world needs, and so all that God has placed within you, He desires to bring that out, to be that beacon of light that He has called us to be, and there's power in that, and so. And that's what I aspire and hope to create when I work with my clients, that they will understand that you're here for a reason. It's not an accident. There's God created with intention and purpose, and it's going to be more wonderful than you can ever imagine. When I think back and I reflect in hindsight,
I love it.
when I think back in my life, I never imagined that I would be doing what I'm doing now. First of all, I never imagined that I would be working in ministry. or
Right.
becoming a pastor, or becoming an author, or becoming a life. I that this just wasn't. I never saw that for myself, and it wasn't until someone helped me see what God had placed in me that I could walk in that.
That's
Because
power in that. Wow.
yes, 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 and we can't go in the direction where God wants us to go if we can't see it. We have to
Hmm.
be able to see it to be able to go after it.
Right.
And so, um, and this is the reason why I so enjoy doing what I'm doing to empower others so that they too can just go after it and be awesome kingdom builders in this world, to change lives and all that kind of stuff. And it's a beautiful thing to experience, and
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah. Yeah.
honored
I
and blessed to
agree.
do so.
Hey, so I kind of know the answer to this question, but I'm gonna answer it. I'm gonna ask it anyway, right? It's because you already spoke to it, but since I wrote this question down, I'm gonna ask it.
Okay.
It's that the role of faith seems to be an integral part of your journey. How
Yes,
has your spirituality influenced your coaching approach and your ability to guide others through their own challenges and transformations?
that's a good question. I am a Christian life coach, so everything I do is based around that. And so when we come together, it's not just strategies on how you can get to where you want to go, but it's also strategically how to increase your faith, how to spiritually uplift you, because you can't have one without the other. You have to have both. And um, and without God guiding you, it's just not going to work. And so, in working with my clients, that's um, I also, assess where their faith is in that time to help build that up, build that spiritual confidence, help them build their identity in Christ so they begin to fully believe who they were created and destined to be.
Great answer to a great question.
Thank you.
So, Natalie, so I asked you a few questions on here, and I appreciate your time in answering them. Is there something that you'd like to add, or something my audience would like that you'd like to tell them that maybe I haven't asked?
If you have been walking around for a long time, excuse me, for a long time with that nudge in your inner spirit that you are destined for more, stop ignoring it. Stop pushing it away because one, you're canceling your blessing. Two, you're canceling the blessing that you're going to be the impact in the lives of others. Dig into that. What is that nudge? Ask God, what are you calling me to? How can I bring that forth? And once you understand what that is, run with it. Hold on to it and don't let it go for nothing. That's my
Run with
advice.
it.
Run with it.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Natalie, for joining me on this inspiring episode of Hindsight the Podcast, your story of resilience, triumph, and your unwavering. And it's real talk because, really, if you talk to anybody,
Yeah,
there are challenges, in our lives. In
yeah,
being resilient is how we get through it. And I guess that's an innate characteristic of humans anyway, to be
yeah.
resilient, right? But some people get it a lot quicker than others, and it is what it is, right? But your story of resilience and triumph and your
Yeah.
unwavering faith has truly touched my heart and hopefully
Thank you.
inspired my audience, the listeners. For
Thank you.
anyone out there, you're welcome. For anyone out there, you can get your own personal 5 keys to unlocking your God-given purpose on Natalie's website. What is that website? And I'll put it in the show notes. But what's your webpage, Natalie?
Yes, it's revealinggreatnesscoaching.com.
Excellent. And I'm grateful for the valuable insights and wisdom you shared with us today, and your passion for helping others discover their purpose and embrace their true potential is evident in the things that I see you're doing. So to my listeners, I hope you've gained a fresh perspective from Natalie's remarkable journey. Remember, no matter what you've been through, there is always hope for a brighter future, right? And so can they connect with you? They can connect
Yeah,
with you on your
yeah.
website?
Yeah, website, or they can also email me at revealinggreatness@gmail.com.
There you go. And like I said, I'll have all of those in the show notes. And don't forget to subscribe to Hindsight the Podcast for more empowering
Subscribe.
episodes. All right, Natalie. Until next time, I really appreciate your time. Thank you so
Thank you. It
much.
was an honor. God bless you.
God bless you too. Thanks for tuning in to Hindsight the Podcast. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I know I did. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button to stay updated on future episodes packed with inspiring stories. Before you go, leave me a message with your thoughts, feedback, or suggestions for future topics. And if you're loving what you hear, please take a moment to rate this episode. Your feedback helps me to grow and reach more listeners just like you. So remember, life's a journey. Stay tuned, stay curious, and keep gaining wisdom through the power of hindsight. Until next time. Oh, and don't forget, subscribe, leave a message, and rate this episode.
When you look back in hindsight, everything is